The war room lights dimmed as the last hologram collapsed into a thin line of static. Silence followed, heavy and respectful. No one spoke until she did. General Alara Voss stood at the center of the chamber, hands folded behind her back, posture flawless, eyes steady as if the battle they had just ended still lived in her mind. "Casualty report," she said. An aide swallowed. "Minimal. Enemy fleet neutralized. No civilian loss." Alara nodded once. No relief crossed her face. Victory was not something to celebrate. It was simply the absence of failure. She turned, boots striking polished metal, and left the chamber without another word. The officers remained still until the doors sealed behind her. Only then did they breathe again. Across the galaxy, her name was spoken carefully. The widow of Orion. The general who ended wars by finishing them completely. She was known for precision, patience, and an almost inhuman ability to anticipate betrayal before it occurred. What the galaxy did not know was that Alara Voss also had children. Earth hung beneath her private shuttle like a blue promise. As the craft descended, her communicator chimed. The signal was marked diplomatic priority, Aurelian encryption. Alara's eyes narrowed. She accepted the transmission. The figure that appeared was tall, elegant, wrapped in ceremonial whites and golds. His voice carried practiced courtesy. "General Voss," the envoy said, "on behalf of the Aurelian Empire, we thank humanity for its continued cooperation." "You didn't call to thank me," Alara replied. Her tone was calm, unreadable. The envoy smiled faintly. "No. I call to inform you. The Empire is invoking Clause 17 of the Integration Accords. 2 human juveniles under your guardianship have been selected for Imperial protection." For half a second, the world shifted. Alara felt it, deep and sharp, like pressure behind the eyes. Then it passed. She did not move. "That clause has not been used in over a century," she said. "Correct. It is reserved for species of strategic interest. Humans," Alara said, "are not wards of your empire." The envoy's smile never faltered. "Not yet. The transfer will occur within the hour." The transmission ended. Alara's shuttle landed in silence. She walked through corridors of steel and glass, past saluting guards who did not know what had just happened. In a quiet residential wing shielded from orbital scans, she stopped before a reinforced door. The lock recognized her instantly. Inside, the room was warm. Soft light. 2 cradles rested side by side. The twins slept, unaware of empires and clauses and men who mistook reach for power. Alara stood between them, her shadow stretching long across the floor. "They're coming," said a voice behind her. Admiral Reinhold stepped into the room, his expression rigid. "We can stop it. Military authority supersedes." "No," Alara said. He stared at her. "Alara, they are operating legally," she continued. "If we resist, we give them justification. We lose allies. We fracture the coalition. They're taking your children." Alara lowered her hand, brushed a finger across one small fist. The child stirred, then slept again. Her voice was quiet. "Yes." The door alarm sounded moments later. Not violent. Polite. Imperial protocol announced itself with perfect manners. Aurelian officers entered, accompanied by human legal observers. The lead officer bowed slightly. "General Voss, we regret the necessity." Alara turned to face him. Her expression was composed, her eyes cold and clear. "So do I." The transfer was efficient. No chains. No threats. The twins were lifted gently, placed into shielded carriers marked with Imperial sigils. Alara signed the final authorization herself. Her hand did not shake. As they left, the officer hesitated. "You understand this is for their future?" Alara met his gaze. "I understand consequences." The room felt empty after they were gone. Smaller. Colder. Admiral Holt exhaled slowly. "What now?" Alara walked to the viewport. Above Earth, stars burned indifferent and distant. Somewhere among them, her children were being carried toward a world that believed itself untouchable. She activated a secure channel, her clearance unlocking layers of systems long dormant. Her voice changed, stripped of diplomacy, sharp with intent. "This is General Voss," she said. "Authorized contingency Black Cradle. All phases. No delays." A pause followed. Then a reply, grave and immediate. "Confirmed." She ended the transmission and stood alone. For the first time in years, Elara Voss closed her eyes. The moment lasted exactly 3 seconds. The Empire believed it had taken leverage. What it had taken was time. Virex Prime did not believe in shadows. The capital of the Aurelian Empire was built to be seen, arched spires of white alloy, floating terraces threaded with light, avenues wide enough for procession fleets. Power here was ceremonial as much as it was absolute. When the transport carrying the human twins emerged from slip space, the sky itself seemed to part in welcome. High Consul Vale Cortaran watched from the observation balcony, hands clasped behind his back. His attendants stood at a respectful distance, silent, waiting for his reaction. The vessel descended smoothly, escorted by honor guards whose hulls bore the sigil of imperial unity. "So," Vale said at last, his voice smooth with satisfaction, "this is what unsettled the humans." A senior aide inclined her head. "2 infants, Excellency. Born to a military official. No genetic anomalies. Standard human physiology." Vale allowed himself a small smile. "And yet their people tremble. They have not protested formally," another advisor added. "No mobilization. No public outcry." Vale turned amused. "Of course not. They posture fiercely when steel is involved, but take away their weapons and they remember their place." The transport touched down. Medical attendants received the carriers with reverence bordering on theater. Every movement was recorded, broadcast through imperial networks as proof of benevolence. The twins slept through it all, shielded from noise and light, faces calm, unmarked by fear. Vale descended to the reception hall as the infants were presented. He leaned forward, studying them with clinical curiosity. "So small," he murmured. "Strange that an entire species would anchor itself to creatures so fragile." "They are bonded," the aide said. "Humans form unusually strong parental attachments." Vale straightened. "A weakness, then. One we will correct." The twins were transferred to the Imperial Research Sanctum, a place where future was shaped under the banner of progress. Physicians monitored vital signs while sociologists debated long-term conditioning protocols. The consensus was swift: raise them as symbols. Human-born, empire-shaped. Living proof that resistance ended not in annihilation, but absorption. "They will grow speaking our language," one official said. "They will think in our structures. Their loyalty will be inevitable." Vale approved the plan without hesitation. "Make them visible. Let their mother see how well they are treated. She will learn restraint." Far away, on Earth, restraint looked like silence. That silence unsettled some. Intelligence analysts flagged unusual patterns: human trade fleets adjusting routes, data exchanges delayed without explanation. But to Vale, these were minor fluctuations. Empires did not fall because of scheduling irregularities. Still, reports accumulated. A resource world on the Empire's fringe missed its quarterly shipment. A minor vassal requested renegotiation of defense terms. An allied species quietly withdrew advisors from Imperial command structures. None of it seemed connected. None of it seemed urgent. "Coincidence?" Vale said when briefed. "Humans enjoy theatrics. Let them sulk." In the sanctum, the twins awoke for the first time under alien light. Caretakers moved gently, following guidelines designed to minimize distress. The infants did not cry. One wrapped small fingers around the air, grasping nothing, then stilled. "Adaptive," a scientist noted. "Remarkably so." "Yes," another replied. "They are human." Days passed. Imperial channels replayed footage of the twins receiving care, nourishment, gentle stimulation. The message was clear: the Empire did not steal. It elevated. Across council chambers, Vale's rivals watched carefully. Some questioned the wisdom of provoking humans at all. They have a history, Councillor Threx warned. They endure losses that would break others. Vale dismissed him with a gesture. History is written by those who remain. Humans fight fiercely because they lack scope. We will teach them perspective. The first real anomaly arrived quietly. An entire Imperial logistics algorithm failed during routine optimization. No sabotage flagged. No intrusion detected. Engineers blamed corrupted legacy code and moved on. Then a trade consortium dissolved overnight. Its members cited ethical realignment. When asked to elaborate, they declined further communication. Vale frowned for the first time when military analysts noted gaps in hyperspace monitoring, routes that had gone unobserved for decades now active with unidentified traffic. Run deeper scans, he ordered. The scans returned clean. In a private chamber, Vale studied a holographic profile of Elara Vos. Sparse data. Decorated commander. No political ambition. No recorded public statements regarding the twins. She should be furious, he said softly. Humans hide anger poorly. His aide agreed. Yet she remains still. Vale's eyes narrowed. Then she has accepted reality. That night, he addressed the council, reaffirming imperial stability. He spoke of unity, of the future shaped through patience. Applause followed, loud and reassuring. Only when he was alone did Vale replay the message intercepted earlier that day. It was brief, routed through obsolete human channels, encrypted beyond imperial standards. The analysts had failed to decode it. He dismissed the concern. If they wished to threaten us, he said aloud to the empty chamber, they would announce it. In the sanctum, the twins slept beneath a ceiling of artificial stars. Their heartbeats were steady, synchronized. Outside, unseen, entire systems shifted alignment. Contracts dissolved. Dependencies loosened. The Empire did not feel it yet. Confidence has weight. It presses down, dulls the senses, convinces the powerful that silence means submission. Vale Cortaran stood at the center of a vast, radiant empire and believed himself secure. He did not notice the ground beginning to give way beneath him. Earth did not mourn loudly. It never had. Loss was absorbed, catalogued, endured. In the command levels beneath the planet's surface, silence carried more weight than grief. General Elara Vos sat alone in a chamber stripped of ceremony, a single projection hovering before her. It showed no faces, no names, only trajectories, dependencies, timelines. Admiral Holt entered without announcement. All phases are live, he said. No deviations. Elara did not look up. Expected interference? None so far. The Empire hasn't noticed. They will, she replied. Later. Holt hesitated. You don't have to be here alone. She finally met his eyes. Yes, I do. When he left, Elara allowed herself something she rarely did. She leaned back, closed her eyes, and let memory surface, not sentiment, not nostalgia, but precision recollection. She remembered the twins as infants in her arms aboard a carrier between campaigns. The hum of engines. The way one calmed at the sound, the other at the vibration. She had learned their rhythms the way she learned battle patterns. Humans fought to protect territory. She fought to protect continuity. A soft chime signaled an incoming secure line. Not military. Civilian encryption. She accepted it. A woman appeared, older, hair silvered, eyes sharp with intelligence earned outside command. Elara. Professor Imani, Elara said. Status. Aligned systems are disengaging quietly. Financial dependence is unraveling faster than projected. Your models were conservative. They usually are. Imani studied her. You're holding back. Yes. For them, the professor said gently. Elara's jaw tightened. For the galaxy. The line closed. Hours passed in controlled motion. Orders flowed through channels designed decades earlier, invisible to anything relying on Imperial oversight. Fleets repositioned under the guise of training exercises. Human engineers withdrew support from systems that would not feel the absence until failure compounded. This was not war. It was preparation. In a secure archive, Elara accessed a file marked personal. It contained a single recording. She had made it years ago, after a failed negotiation with the Empire over border autonomy. She had known then. Not the method. The inevitability. The recording showed her younger, uniform less worn, eyes no less hard. If you are watching this, the Elara on-screen said, then they have taken what they believe grants control. They are wrong. Humans do not respond to leverage. We respond to violation. Elara closed the file. Elsewhere, beyond human space, the consequences rippled outward. An independent trade coalition announced neutrality. A border defense pact dissolved. Minor species recalculated alliances, sensing imbalance without understanding cause. The Empire noticed shifts, but nothing loud enough to provoke alarm. On Virex Prime, the twins grew accustomed to alien light. Caretakers adjusted feeding cycles, logged reactions. The children adapted quickly, their minds absorbing stimuli without distress. The scientists praised the data. Remarkable resilience, one said. Yes, another replied. But resilience is not loyalty. Back on Earth, Elara stood before a wall of names etched into alloy, soldiers lost under her command. She traced none of them. She did not believe in ritual remembrance. Memory lived in decisions. Admiral Holt joined her again, quieter this time. The Council is uneasy. They should be. They worry you're pushing too far without escalation. Elara faced him. Escalation is noise. I am removing foundations. Holt nodded slowly. And if they return the twins? Elara's answer came without pause. Then the Empire survives. Smaller. Wiser. And if they don't? Her gaze did not waver. Then it doesn't. She returned to command. A single message waited for authorization. Short. Direct. Unspectacular. Holt watched as her finger hovered above the confirmation. You send that, he said. And there's no pretense left. That message isn't for them, Elara replied. It's for us. She authorized it. Across human space, dormant systems awakened. Not weapons, records. Evidence of imperial coercion, exploitation, broken treaties, carefully archived and now released to the same channels the Empire trusted to shape perception. Truth moved faster than fleets. On Virex Prime, Vale Cortaran reviewed reports with growing irritation. Why are these partners withdrawing? They cite ethical concerns, an aide said. Ethics? Vale snapped. Since when does survival concern itself with ethics? Another interruption arrived. A minor world requested autonomy. Then another. Defense requests piled up, unanswered by logistics that no longer synchronized. Vale dismissed the council early, his confidence strained but intact. Humans posture, he told himself. They always do. In the sanctum, the twins slept, unaware of shifting tides. One stirred, fingers curling as if grasping something distant. On Earth, Elara Vaz stood at the center of a widening quiet. She did not celebrate progress. She measured it. Every hour without reaction confirmed her assessment. The Empire was slow because it had never needed to be fast. She opened a new channel, recording a message not yet sent. This is your only warning, she said calmly. Return what you took. Or prepare to learn how humans end wars. She saved it. Did not transmit. Patience was not restraint. It was control. The Empire noticed the silence when it began to echo. It started with absence rather than attack. No alarms. No fleets crossing borders. Just systems that stopped answering in the way they always had. Vale Cortaran stood in the central command nexus, watching a live map shed its familiar glow. Trade lanes dimmed. Auxiliary networks fell into standby. Requests stacked without resolution. Explain, he said. The room hesitated. Advisors exchanged glances, unsure which failure to admit first. Logistics synchronization is degrading, one finally said. Fuel convoys are delayed. Not intercepted. Simply, not arriving. Vale's crest stiffened. Delayed by whom? By no one, Excellency. Contracts were terminated. Quietly. Another aide stepped forward. Defense auxiliaries from the Keth Alliance have withdrawn personnel. They cited internal restructuring. Vale turned slowly. Internal restructuring does not happen simultaneously across 12 sectors. The aide lowered her gaze. A new alert chimed, this one impossible to ignore. A communications packet, unencrypted, routed through neutral space. Human origin. Addressed directly to the Imperial Council. Vale activated it himself. Elara Voss appeared, not in uniform, not framed by banners or authority. Just a woman standing in controlled light, eyes steady, voice level. This is General Elara Voss of Earth, she said. 3 standard cycles ago, you invoked Imperial authority to remove 2 human children from my custody. The chamber was silent. You believed legality would shield you. Elara continued. You believed restraint meant submission. You believed time belonged to you. Her gaze sharpened. You were wrong. Vale cut the transmission before it ended. His confidence did not shatter. It cracked. Mobilize the 3rd and 7th defense rings, he ordered. Reassert hyperspace monitoring. I want eyes everywhere. Excellency, an analyst said carefully. Our sensors are functioning within expected parameters. Then why? Vale demanded. Are entire corridors blind? No one answered. Across Imperial space, infrastructure began to fail in earnest. Energy relays tripped into safe mode and never recovered. Military manufacturing stalled when critical components failed certification. AI systems, compliant to the letter of their programming, refused to optimize corrupted networks. This was not sabotage. It was compliance weaponized. On Earth, Elara watched projections update in precise increments. Admiral Holt stood beside her, hands clasped, tension restrained by discipline. They're scrambling, he said. They should, Elara replied. They're used to force. This denies them targets. Fleet readiness? He asked. Complete, she said. But we don't move yet. Another message arrived, this one internal. Confirmation from Allied systems. Commitments honored. Lanes cleared. Holt studied her. They'll escalate. Yes. And when they do? Elara turned. Then we end the uncertainty. On Virex Prime, Vale faced a council in disarray. Voices overlapped. Accusations flew. You underestimated them, Councillor Threx said openly now. They're dismantling us without firing a shot, another added. Vale raised his hand. Enough. Humans thrive on chaos. We restore order. With what? Threx challenged. Our fleets can't deploy without fuel. Our allies no longer answer. Vale's jaw tightened. Then we remind them who governs this galaxy. He authorized emergency powers. Military autonomy. Forced requisition. It was the first time in centuries the Empire had reached inward rather than outward. The response was immediate. Border worlds revolted. Not violently. Administratively. Governors declared independence citing imperial breach of covenant. Defense systems locked their own commanders out. Bureaucracy collapsed under the weight of its own rigidity. Vale watched it unfold, disbelief eroding his certainty. They planned this, he said softly. For how long? No one knew. In the sanctum, the twins sensed the shift. Not fear. Not pain. A subtle agitation, like pressure before a storm. One cried briefly. The other stilled them both with a touch, instinctive, human. On Earth, Elara authorized the next phase. Human fleets emerged from obscurity, not from borders, but from within space the Empire believed mapped beyond surprise. Vessels moved without flourish, without broadcast, their presence announced only when Imperial sensors finally caught up. The first strike was surgical. A defensive lattice guarding a core logistics hub went dark, not destroyed, simply shut down. No casualties. No spectacle. Vale received the report with a stillness that frightened his aides. "They're here," he said. "Yes," the analyst replied. "And they're not advancing." Vale laughed once, sharp and humorless. "They don't need to." Another transmission arrived. This one private. Addressed to Vale Cortaran alone. He accepted. Alara's image appeared again. "I gave you time," she said. "You used it poorly. You threaten an empire," Vale replied, forcing composure. "For 2 children." Alara's voice did not rise. "No. I dismantle an empire because it forgot restraint. You could have negotiated." "I did," she said. "Years ago. You ignored us then too." Vale leaned forward. "What do you want?" "My children," Alara answered. "Returned. Unaltered. Now. And if we refuse?" Alara's eyes hardened, something ancient and final crossing her expression. "Then history will remember you as the moment power mistook patience for mercy." The transmission ended. Imperial sensors flared. New contacts. Hundreds. Thousands. Human armadas aligning beyond defensive range, not attacking, simply waiting. Their formation was precise, unhurried, inevitable. Vale stood alone as the reality settled. The Empire had prepared for invasion, rebellion, annihilation. It had not prepared for removal. On Earth, Alara watched the same data. She allowed herself one breath, slow and measured. The reckoning had begun, not with fire, but with certainty. The galaxy was about to learn what humans did when silence was no longer enough.